Hello guys and welcome to CBC 101. My name is Desert and in this first tutorial we will be talking about tokens. We will get into the first Python basics. We will learn a little bit about post and get request, and we will get a little introduction to Firefox developer tools. First of all, I will go more in depth about how stuff works. So if you want to just paste and go on with your life and just paste checkers together, I would like to refer you to darkaims series. He properly explains everything you need to know to make a well working checker. But if you really want to understand the basics behind it, please keep watching my tutorial, because I will explain what's working on the server side, what's working on the client side, and how all this stuff interacts. Now, first, how do tokens work? Well, you send a GET request to a website, and the website points to a server. The server runs a script which generates cookies and tokens. It responds with a script, often in form of an HTML, which contains the token, and the response also contains some headers and some cookies. This page will be rendered on your PC with your browser, but we will be concentrating on the code behind the rendered page. Now, basically, when you send a GET request and a token gets generated, it gets embedded in the response HTML, and at the same time it will get stored inside the database. If you send a post now, there will be a script behind your login button, for example, which takes the token out of the HTML and puts it into the post request containing your email and your password. Now, if that information arrives at the database checks if the token is valid, if the email is valid, if the password is valid. Possible fail returns are for 143302. If it returns 200 or 201, it means it was valid, and now it will load the account management page, for example, containing your subscription plan or the games you purchased, or stuff like this. Now, when we talk about post and get requests, post is used to transfer client-side generated info to the server. We differ from passive and active post requests. Most of the post requests on a normal site are active, meaning you type an info and then click on the login button and a post gets sent to the server. So you can actively control what information gets sent to the server. A passive post would be a JavaScript just getting executed in your browser, collecting some information and sending that information back to the server without you having the ability to interact with it to change the outcome, the result. Now, a passive post would be, for example, if Akamai loads the JavaScript onto your browser, collects information and sends it back to the server. A GET request is when you transfer server-side generated info to the client. Now, for example, an active GET request would be a URL. For example, if you access google.com, right? So you type in google.com, press enter, and you actively send a GET request. A passive GET request would be if you search for an image then in Google, so all those image previews load, and for each image that gets shown there, there's a separate GET request to the server to load the image into your browser. That's a passive GET request. Now, after we talked about so much what's happening on the server side and what's happening on the client side, let's get right into coding our first own small checker. Okay guys, so I'm back again, and first of all, thanks to Nothing for this URL. I'm demonstrating the parsing of the token and creating your first checker on. So big thank you to Nothing, and let's start. So first of all, you're going to use an incognito mode simply due to the fact that it's easier to use because you don't have any tracking cookies or stuff like this that could appear in your normal browser history. So just go into an incognito tab and open the URL. I'm using bingcoins.com/login, and just open it. And first of all, you're going to inspect element and network analysis and delete everything from here and just log in with wrong information. So just press submit, and as you can see here, you have a post request, and the first thing you notice is that behind the login there's a question mark, error equals 1. 1 is true, so basically what it's saying behind the login is error is true, so there's an error. And the thing that we notice right away is that inside the login request the server checked for two cookies, the JSession ID and the XSRF token, and the parameters are an CSRF token, a username and a password. So what we are going to do next is we go into Inspector and just search CSRF and press enter, and we find a CSRF token. So what we are going to do first is we will create our checker, and then we parse the token out of the HTML. So first of all, go into PyCharm and first import requests, and from the LXML library we say, okay, from lxml.html import from string, and from string is basically just a function of the LXML library, so you can use a string as an HTML. So first of all, we will define valid, username and password, and we will just pass on that for now. We will do the same with invalid, and then we will define our checker. Okay, so first of all we write a combo loader, so we load in the combo. So combo equals input combo file name. So we basically take the name, for example, for me it's c.txt, just input the combo file name, and what we are going to do next is we are going to arrange this so and read it out. So combo equals open combo comma r, sorry for that, like this, dot read line, so we basically read the file and then we arrange it. So arrange equals lines dot replace \n nothing for lines in combo. Basically what that does is put everything in one line, and then we are going to split the data. So for lines in a range, data equals lines dot split by the delimiter. So basically if you have username, password and a delimiter in between, we basically split it at the delimiter, and if we type in data 0, it takes the part in front of the delimiter, and if we type data 1, it takes the one behind the delimiter. And now we pass on the data we just passed to checker and go on from there. What we're going to do first in checker is we will create a session, so r equals requests dot session. Basically what that does is it keeps all the cookies and information from the previous requests, so it acts more like a browser, as if you just do a get or a post request. And yeah, that's what we need, because we have two cookies that we need to obtain. So first of all, we will say, okay, HTML equals r.get the URL. So bingcoins.com/login. And then we are going to type, okay, CSRF, our token, equals from string HTML. So basically we load in the HTML that we get from the GET request into the LXML library, and just use a function from string to load it. And then we are going to use XPath to parse it. But you have to type .text behind the request though, because else you will get like a status code return instead of the text. And now we are just going to say, okay, CSRF equals CSRF.XPath. And now we have to observe where exactly the token is stored. So it's stored in an input with the name CSRF. So our XPath will look like this: / input opening bracket add name, because we're going to use the name to locate it, equals underscore CSRF closing bracket. And then we are going to use the first result it finds. So we type in 0, because it's LXML basically lists all the things it finds. So we are going to use the first one, and then we want the value passed from it, because the token is stored in a value. So basically that's it. And that's how we get our CSRF token. And then we're going to do a login. So r.post. So we basically keep the cookies from the GET request. And now we're going to send a POST request to the URL we just got. So the POST request was done to bingcoins.com/login. And with the parameters CSRF username and password. So we're going to put that in. So the URL, comma, data equals underscore CSRF username and password is password. And as we noted from our first attempt, if we have an invalid login, the URL changes to error 1. You can see this in the network log, because the post request was invalid, so it was a redirect to the error URL. So basically it's very simple. You just type in if login.url, so the redirected URL, is equal to the URL we have here. We basically call invalid, and else we pass on to valid with username and password. And to get this, we type username equals data 0 and password equals data 1. So last but not least, we are going to save the valids and print an error when it's invalid. So first of all, when invalid is called, we will simply print invalid. And when it's valid, we are going to append it to a file. So first of all, we are going to clear the file when it's still existing from the previous check. We are just going to open and close it so it's clear and just contains the information you just checked. So open valid.txt, comma v or w dot close. Simply it creates the file and clears it out if it's existing, and now we're going to write the information to it. So we open the file named valid.txt, comma a to append dot write f name delimiter password \n for a new line every write. So that's that, and now we are printing out that we found a valid account, so valid, and now we're going to just put in the username and the password here, and that's it. That's your checker. You can run it to test it, so run main and just put in c.txt, and now it's starting up and basically prints invalid because I just have invalid accounts. And when it's done, you see that a valid.txt got created where the valid accounts would be saved. So that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you have tips for improvement or questions, please leave them in the comments or join my Discord in the description. I'm happy to talk to you and discuss with you about this topic. Thanks, and see you next time.